So this is what kind of mackerel?
So it's called Spanish mackerel, not a regular mackerel, and it has such a lovely flavor.
You put a lot of pepper on it.
Did I? Do you
It's
like
going
that?
to be wonderful.
Oh, good. I
Did you put a little butter on the spinach?
I didn't. You have to put.
I did at mine.
No. And then a little butter.
And I'm going to squeeze them.
Lots of squeeze on it. So I give you half an. You see, lemons are not very juicy. They're full of thick skin and not much
Yes,
juice.
you're right.
And they're, that's the way it is. Now, a little salt on the spinach also, because I don't put salt in the water. And
Is that a philosophy?
Yeah, well, I never cook with salt because I well, except maybe certain things, but no, I like the salt at the table. And then the water of vegetables I use, and if it's salty, it's not as good. I drink it. Is it all right?
It's delicious.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Nothing like fresh spinach for me. I adore fresh spinach. Anyway.
And the fish is wonderful.
I'm so glad. You see, I love that fish. I'm so tired of salmon.
Where do you get, I mean, I don't have...
Citarella.
Well,
Famous.
I don't have this.
I know.
So it's how is it different from regular mackerel?
I don't know, because I didn't compare it. All I know is that I like this one.
There's bones. There are bones.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that you have to buy when it's thick, in the sense that it's fillet. And you don't buy one that's very flat. You
Right.
buy one that's curved like that.
Right.
Then it's so good. I went early at 9 o'clock. So they were those beautiful pieces.
Is it close by?
It's a 15-minute walk. It's 3rd Avenue and 75th Street.
That reminds me when I was leaving the shuttle bus. There's a shuttle from Javits Center to Penn Station. And I took it in order to go to the 4. Two young men were looking at their map. I said, "Are you lost?" They were clearly just come out of Penn Station. So they wanted to know, very simple, how to get to 48th Street and 7th Avenue. I oriented them.
Good.
And wished them well. And I was thinking, this is so nice to be able to do this in my old city.
In your old?
And so immediately after that, people must have observed me, a Oriental couple, asked me also directions. And so I said, well, that's a long walk, but it's doable. They wanted to go all the way east on 32nd Street to some Korean neighborhood. Is there a Korean neighborhood on the east?
I don't know.
Anyway, I said,
What is the level of the Javits? Is it 42nd or 30?
No.
30?
32nd to 39th.
No, 32nd to 30. I was there, but I don't remember.
Or 34th, 39th, something like that.
How many days is the fair?
Tomorrow's the last day. And so the man says to me, well, she said it seemed like a long walk. So I said, well, I guess you could go to 34th Street and take a bus across. I think there must be a bus there. He said, well, if I'm going to go 3 blocks north, I might as well just go 3 blocks east. I said, yes, but they're very different kind of blocks.
They're long blocks.
They're probably 3 times
It
longer.
would take half an hour, I think, to go from the river to the east side. Just half an hour. But it depends on where she wanted to be. I mean, Did she want to be at 32nd Street, or did she want to be?
I didn't ask that. What I thought was funny was me all of a sudden giving directions to everybody.
But you have a good sense of direction. So.
I do.
Oh.
So would you tell me about the exercises we
Yeah.
did earlier?
Mhm.
Oh, this is you also, this painting, right?
Yes, everywhere, because that was when I met her in Italy, in Florence, and she painted me in the style of Quattrocento. And when
I love that one.
Yeah, I love that.
I love them all. So over the fireplace you have your cottage,
Hmm.
done by a friend.
Yes.
And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 portraits of you that are studies.
Yeah, as a study.
Right.
And now in the entrance, when I was 20 with my lovely hat, it's her hat, and she wanted to paint her hat. So she said, would you pose so I can paint my hat?
So it's really a painting of a hat.
It is. I mean,
And you're accidentally there.
that's it. I'm under it.
And then there's hanging from the ceilings,
David's work.
your husband David's work.
Uh-huh.
This is
And then the sculptures.
the netting
Mm-hmm.
covered in polymer plastics or something.
Mhm.
And then you have the sculpture in the fireplace. That's his, yes?
Yes, that's his last phase was the
The
wood.
wood. And on the windowsill.
Yeah. I have lots of sculpture and paintings.
But did he paint too?
No, he didn't. He was a designer, but he didn't paint. He just got. He was an innovator, a great innovator. He was really he could have done great things in. When he died, he had an obituary in the Times, only like that, a little paragraph like that. But still, if you are in the Times, because he worked non-profit to help you dropouts, to teach them how to use to build with their hands.
What's you are?
What?
He helped dropouts from
He started
school, high school?
He started a dropout at high school with young people in Poughkeepsie and Kingston who were dropouts so that they would have a profession.
Mm-hmm.
They got very involved. And you have to learn to work with your hands.
Mm-hmm. Was he born in the United States?
Yeah. David was born in Connecticut, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
And what year did he die?
He died in 84.
Uh-huh. He had an illness?
No, he died of a stroke or a heart attack, I don't know.
All right. Young.
Yeah, 60.
Hmm.
Many people die who work very hard and who are under pressure.
Yeah. So let's go back from there. I want to talk about your mother.
Oh, my mother.
Tell me her name and where she was born.
She was born in the Ukraine, in the country, because her father was a forester. He owned land and woods, and he was lots of acres, lots and lots of acres.
Right.
He was an owner of land. Huh? I'm so glad you like the fish, because I think it's sensational.
I also love the salad.
Mm.
The dressing is wonderful. What did you put in here?
I put shallots, avocado, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of vinegar, and mustard, and pepper, and salt. But
Powdered mustard or
no,
made mustard? It's
Whatever.
absolutely delicious.
I'm so glad, everybody loves my salad, so I'm very lucky. We're eating salad on a fish dish, which I've never done before, but then I should have had a side dish. But
It's just less to wash later.
But but the machine does it. Yeah.
Oh, you have a washing
I
machine?
have a dishwasher because it came with a, they built it. When I died, they had to have one, right?
I see.
Did you take it outside?
What was your mother's name?
Her first name was Maia Helles.
Faye?
Faye. In Russian it's Fea, and in English it's Faye. Faye.
As in fairy?
Yes, Fea is a fairy in Russian, yes.
In Spanish it's that too?
Mhm.
I think. And what was her family name?
Heller was her father's name.
Heller?
And because he was Prussian 200 years before.
I see.
Because the great-great-grandfather came to Russia 200 years before.
These are the not Jews.
No. He was, whatever, I don't know what he, but she was...
What would a Prussian be?
But he married
A Catholic?
Norwegian, no, well, Russian Orthodox, I guess. But they were not religious. I mean, they were not practicing. But I really don't know. I never met them. All that was before the revolution.
So what happened to Faye that she ended up marrying your father?
She was studying at... I can't talk because I have this terrible thing. I can't talk when I eat.
Okay, let's finish eating.
You tell me a story while we eat. Tell me about...
Well, I was recently, I think a lot of it had to do with you. I reconnected to other lycée students on the internet. They've opened up they've created a site where all the students registered themselves. And they have a lot of people who are lost. They don't know where they are. But the ones who are responding are there. And one of the people who runs it is somebody who remembers me from when we were students, but I don't remember him because he was, I think, 1 or 2 years younger than me.
I see.
So the girls didn't know the boys from the classes below. They might know the boys from the classes above, but not the classes below. We would not be looking at that. Right. So we spend a lot of time writing each other on the internet and chatting about memories of the lycée. And I kept saying, I really don't have very good memories. And the ones I have, and I don't have many memories, and the ones I have are not very good. So he said to me after a while, you have lots of memories. So I had to readjust my own preconception about, really, do I not have good memories, or do I? But he had lots of friends, and I did not have a lot of friends when I was at the lycée. So we talked about that, and finally, at one point, he just picked up the phone and called me. And he's calling me from Paris. It's funny, the world is so small now. So we're chatting, and one of the things if we were going over names, is you probably would not know the boys' names. But he said, well, I have good friends with Raymond Morini. I said, well, tell me something. The article I see in the site, because anything peripheral can be added in. And I want to add you in, because there's a place for accounts about teachers. And so he's writing about, so there's something about Raymond Morini, who was, I think, a class above me. I think, maybe not. And there's an article about him, or maybe I searched him on the internet. You could put somebody's name in and see what happens. And there was an article about him at a meeting at his synagogue about something or other. And I'm thinking, Raymond Morini is at a synagogue? So I asked this other fellow, who's the one I'm talking to all the time. He says he's Jewish. I said, oh, I didn't realize that. I said, well, he was one of the sweetest people I knew. And please tell him that from me. And then I found out about other people. Do you remember Tessie Arpels?
I remember the name.
I didn't remember her well at all. but she was married, divorced, and she married Udi Rekanati, who was a boy at the school, who I don't remember knowing at all. And they're both fabulously wealthy. And they've just gotten married, I think, in Switzerland. So all these people went to this wedding. And it started just stirring all sorts of memories. And I was trying to, I said, do you remember Linda Morse? Do you remember Margaret? Oh, now I can't remember her name. And these were all people in my class. We were in your class together. I remember that. And Tessie Arpels was in that class too.
Yes, I remember.
And so we were just talking about all these people. So who do we remember, right? And I told him that I'd looked at some sites of some of the other teachers. One of them was a gym teacher who I didn't really know very well, but he had organized ski trips.
Casriel. Oh, he was so lovely.
Was he? Well, he's still around, and he has a resort.
I know he has. He bought the resort, and then he quit the lycée.
He organized a ski trip that I went on when I was 14, and it was the first time and the only time I went skiing, and it was a big memory of mine. And I didn't ski again until I was in Israel. And then he said, "Do you remember Monsieur Kiefer?"
Yes, of course.
He was the geography teacher.
I remember him very well.
He was a friendly man,
Very
nice man,
lovely,
shy, I think.
Yes, but lovely man.
He died. So there was an obituary about him. Anyway, so there were other teachers like that. So I said, oh, I have a teacher I'm going to put in. I have a beautiful picture of her. And so, and I said, she has an interesting story of her life, and I want to try to get some of the highlights again. So your mother, now that you've stopped eating, your mother...
Don't you want a little more salad?
I will, but then you can talk, right?
No, I can't talk, but I'll listen.
No, you can talk.
I can't. I just can't.
Can't talk anymore?
No, I can't because of my... it happened last Thursday. As a matter of fact, I called the dentist and I said, ever since you worked on my crown, she took a crown off that has to be replaced because tooth was getting rotten underneath the crown. I don't know why they do crowns, because the tooth gets rotten underneath it. So why do they do the crown? Never mind.
No, they clean it out first.
And then put another crown on.
And then put stuff in, and then they cap it.
Yeah, but I mean, it got rotten anyway, in spite of the fact that it was protected. Tu peux pas manger un peu plus, ma chérie?
I am.
No.
How did your mother learn this exercise technique?
My mother was at St. Petersburg University in 1905. My father was on the scholarship in St. Petersburg because that was his third conservatory. First he started in the conservatory where he was born, in a small town. First he gave a concert when he was 6, but then he went to conservatory later.
What was his instrument?
Piano. And then he went to in Austria.
In Austria?
Yeah, in Austria. After Vilna, he went to Austria, and then he went to St. Petersburg, to Vienna, to the conservatory there. He was invited everywhere because he was a wunderkind.
What was his name?
Well, his name was very difficult, Niswitsky, but he changed it when I was born in Geneva. I was born on the 27th of November, 16, and he had a concert that night, and it was very successful. So he said, she's a daughter, I'm going to call her Maia, Leah, and my mother said, Maia, Leah, Abi Leah was a taken name, Abba Shel Leah. מפני שאני נולדתי היום של הקונצרט, אז הוא החליף את השם שלו מנישוויצקי, אז Abilea, Arie Abilea.
Wow.
וזה קל לזכור, וזה לא. זה לא קשה לשמוח, to remember.
לזכור.
לזכור, לא קשה לזכור.
What was his first name? Was Aryeh before also?
Yes, it was Aryeh, but it was Lyova.
Lyova, right.
And then Lyova Nishvitsky, and now it's Aryeh Abilea. And
Did
he
she
became
change her name
famous
too?
under the name Abilea. I mean, his career was under the name
I saw the
Abilea.
name. I also put in. I looked in.
Abilea.
And did she take his name too? Did she become Abilea? No.
Yes, she was Madame Abilea, but in her teaching, she wanted her maiden name.
Her maiden name.
So she changed the R into an S.
That's what I was going to
Because
ask.
she wanted it to sound Greek and not German.
Oh.
But she should have changed the A. She should have done A-S. And it would have been Hellas.
Oh, yes.
And she didn't think of it. So Helles sounds Greek a little bit too. It doesn't sound German. Heller sounds German.
Right.
Not Helles. But it would have been easier because to pronounce Helles is hard. Mange encore un peu de salade parce que c'est ce que tu peux manger.
I didn't stop me from eating the rest, you know.
C'est des légumes, ça te fait du bien.
Oui.
On a mangé très très peu, tu sais, juste un petit morceau de poisson.
It was delicious. It was so good.
Oh, I'm so glad. It's because I put the avocado and the shallots give it a lovely
The shallots,
flavor.
I think, really do.
You see, shallots are very nice because they're mild.
They're mild.
And I love shallots.
I don't buy them enough. I should do that.
Well,
So they met at the university.
They met. He was her piano teacher. You see,
Oh.
they give you a scholarship, but they don't give you money. Like now, they give you a stipend to live.
Right. Oh.
But in those days, they said you have to just get along. You have to find the money for bed and
Bed and board.
bed and board. And he, they all were
So we could take
teaching.
lessons.
So they were he was teaching the university students, and mother was one of them, and she fell madly in love with him, and he fell madly in love with her. And he was,
And then they had another child, right? You have a sister.
well, no, I was last. I was the baby.
Oh.
That was supposed to be a boy.
You?
Yeah, because he was hoping for a boy. I was the third one.
You have one sister who...
Two sisters, but one who is Deborah, the famous one, and then Mira, the middle one, who is the Balaboste.
Who's the famous one?
Deborah, who discovered the Hashimoto disease.
Oh, she discovered
Yes,
it? I thought you meant that she got it.
No, she discovered it. I mean, she discovered where it comes from and where it went. She discovered the whole thing.
I didn't understand that.
Hashimoto, just diagnosed it. He said there is this this problem in the thyroid gland, and Deborah discovered which opened the immune department,
System.
autoimmunity department into an enormous. It was a tiny department,
I
and
see.
now it went. You see, because now what she discovered went.
She was a doctor.
Yes, and she was a research doctor. She
In
worked
London?
In London, at the Middlesex, yes. And she's in all the papers, her obituary and everything.
And was her name also Abilea?
No, her name was Donyak, her husband's name.
But before that it was Abilea?
Yes, we were all Abilea.
You all
The moment Papa changed his name, we were all
Abilea. Oh.
And he went to Israel. He already was Ari Abilea when he went to Israel in 1920.
So she's the eldest?
So she's the eldest, and she's the genius, and she's world famous now. I mean, among doctors. Not
Is she the one who just died?
Yes, she's the one that just died at 92.
Not bad.
Yeah, she had a good She wanted to die so badly. She kept asking the doctor, "Can't you just put me to sleep? I'm going to die anyway. Why can't I go to sleep now?" She had, now I can't talk, right? Because I have a little sore. I must have a little sore. Anyway, tomorrow I'm going to the dentist, and they're going to tell me what I have.
You have an appointment?
Yes, I have an appointment at 2:00. at the university clinic, on 20.
Did it just start hurting when you were eating? Before
No,
it didn't hurt?
it doesn't hurt. No, it doesn't hurt. It's uncomfortable. I can't talk because it's as if, it's this whole section here and the ear as well. So it's inside here, but I think it's the tooth that he worked on. That's what I think. But why would it change my speech? I don't understand that. I'm not talking normal at all. No, I mean, I can't pronounce it correctly because of that ache there.
Well, I had in March, I ended up having tremendous pain in my ear. I went to the ear doctor thinking something terrible would happen.
And it was your tooth?
It was my jaw. It was the TMJ disorder.
You mean the
This. I had never experienced pain like that.
Maybe I have that.
Well, no, but I couldn't. I would be sitting there going like this, oh,
You mean it
and
was
crying. So painful.
Oh my God, you dislocated then?
No, I don't know what it has to do with exactly.
Well, when did it go away?
It went away. Finally, he started working on my teeth. He ground it down a little bit so that it would hit differently. So because of the work that they do, it may be that they're hitting in not the right way. You know how they fit into each other? He just put in a crown, you said. Well,
he took my old crown off. She did not yet. She's a Chinese student doctor. She's lovely, and she took my crown off here, and I didn't have anything. But she took my crown off here, and it was very difficult to take it off. So it was traumatic.
So what is?
And she put a temporary on.
Okay, so the temporary one is not matching the top teeth.
Maybe.
And so you're, off a little bit, and it's putting pressure on the joint, maybe, and that's why you're having all
tomorrow
this.
I'll know tomorrow.
Anyway, they gave me muscle relaxant, and that did it. I had a low dose of a muscle relaxant I took every night, and if I took it, I tried one once in the daytime, and I could barely function. So even a low dose, right? So I would take one every night, and after 2 weeks, the pain was gone.
Oh, how lucky.
But that was unbelievable. I'd never experienced anything like that. That was very strange.
It's a sharp pain, very sharp.
No, it was not like that. It was like pervasive. It was, I felt like digging my thumb into the joint because I could feel it in it.
To get rid of it.
But then everything ached all around, and I would just be sitting there with tears going down. It was so painful. So that's why, and I think
mine is not that painful. It's uncomfortable.
Right, but I think it has to do with this temporary.
Really think so?
Yes, because there has to be a nice fit. But you know how when they give you a filling?
But it was, he cleaned it. I mean, she cleaned it with a, and then...
Oh, the carbon paper?
Oh, yes. Oh, she did all that. I mean, we really made it good. I mean, it feels good.
But you have to tell her what's going on.
But the fact that it hurts my ear as well, and then it's here, I can't talk well, correctly. I couldn't swallow also. It's much better.
Did they give you a shot?
No, they didn't need to give me a shot because no, I don't.
I don't take that, so I'm just looking for others.
Anyway.
I'm sorry. Do you want to take a little something to dull the uncomfortableness?
No, it's not serious at all. It's just that I can't function correctly. I can't talk correctly. I want you to talk. I mean, I really am.
Well, I wanted.
I'm disabled.
Oh, you're disabled.
And
right?
it feels like the tongue is involved, the side of my tongue. And my sister died of cancer of the tongue. Maybe that's what I have too. I mean, anything is possible.
Well, of course, anything is possible. Maybe the building will fall on us before the morning, and then we won't have to worry about any of these things.
That's not probable.
Well,
it's possible, but it's not probable.
She had cancer of the tongue, your sister? Oh, yeah. Was she a smoker?
No.
Ay.
It was very, very hard.
And your other sister's name is what?
Miriam. We all had biblical names.
And where does she live?
Dvora, Miriam, and Elea. And then Mother said, no, but I want my daughter to be called Maia because she met Isadora Duncan, at the time that she was pregnant with me, and Papa was playing for Isadora Duncan.
What's Isadora Duncan got to do with Maia?
No, because she was Greek
Oh,
mythology
I
involvement.
I see. Okay. So of course. What was I thinking?
I mean, she was so influenced by the Greekness of Isadora Duncan. She must have been a lovely.
So what did she think when all of you went off to Israel? What year was that?
No, we didn't go to Israel. My father went in 1920. We went to this water resort in Italy because Mother had tuberculosis, and the doctor said you must go to a place where it's nice. So, and then there, my mother was doing, she was already very involved with her body and all that, She
Isadora
already was thinking about, and she was already thinking about having a method of exercise that is physiologically correct and aesthetically satisfying. The aesthetic as an art.
Yes.
She wanted a method of exercise that is an art, not just 1, 2, 1, 2. That's why her work is so rhythmic and beautiful and smooth and easy, and
So she started inventing it and then teaching it?
Creating it, because in the university she majored in anatomy, physiology, biology. She was interested in the sciences.
Right.
And so she always wanted to do something for the body. She started doing dance. Isadora Duncan. She started doing a little dance, and then she went to Paris. She kept working on. She wanted to do exercise, something constructive. My mother was really an extraordinary woman. Imagine telling her daughter, "Don't marry." In those days, 1933, don't get married. He's poor. Live with him. It's a first love, you don't want to.
Oh, that's this man over here.
So I was posing for him, and we fell madly in love. I have beautiful red hair down to here.
I remember your red hair.
So,
So you lived with him for a couple of years.
Yeah, 4 years. And the reason I left him, I still loved him, but I wasn't in love with him because his mother was in love with him, and I was such a Puritan. I really was a Puritan. Everyone was a Puritan in those days.
You got over it?
Well, I'm not a Puritan anymore. I'm open-minded.
Your telephone.
I answer. It's a normal time to answer. I do that tomorrow. Sweetheart, I know what you mean, but I thought if you loved it, just enjoy it for a little while, and then give it to someone else.
Well, it reminded me first of one that I bought for Rebecca, but it wasn't as pretty as this, and she didn't appreciate it.
It's not what she wanted.
No, I guess not.
We want certain things, and it's hard with presents. That's why I don't give it to them. I believe in choosing.
In choosing?
Yes. If you choose something, and because you like it, right? Oh, you can't have it. Tell me about your father. Did you get on well? Bring a petit soucoupe.
Leggy lilies. Leggy. Long legs.
Oh, yeah, leggy lily.
Leggy lilies.
Pour les pépins.
Il n'y a pas de pépins.
Oh, mais la peau parfois est un peu dure.
Ah bon?
Non, enfin.
Where did you get your hat? It's wonderful.
It's from India.
From India?
Yeah, but Jane gave it to me.
Who?
My friend Jane who gave me all the things. She had...
You have another friend named Jane?
Yes, Jane, yes, because Jane is my age. She's 92.
Oh.
The painter.
Oh, the painter.
Yes, I've known her 68 years.
Oh my God. What's her last name?
Cook. She was married to Alistair Cook.
Really?
The journalist. The famous television
Masterpiece
Theatre.
Yes. Oh. So that's how she's known, as Jane Cook?
Well, her painting name is Jane White. She uses her
White? It's as ordinary as Cook.
her maiden, her mother's name,
Uh-huh.
father's name.
So when did you take on your mother's name? That's an unusual
I
thing to
took
do.
it only when I started teaching her method, and I felt I wanted to honor
Oh.
her. And she was very angry.
Why?
At first, she said, "You're not doing me an honor."
Oh, you see
My
how
mom-
we try to please our
My,
parents?
my mother was very rejecting, but behind my back, she said lovely things about me.
God forbid you should hear them.
Yeah, God forbid I should hear them.
Right. So the reason I told you those stories about my mother is to say that it's not clear what she died from. She was also alcoholic, and she was taking medications, and so she could have inadvertently,
But she was only 50.
63,
Oh, 60. That's still too young.
yeah, but I think she sort of like had it. So either it was accidental,
Yes.
or it was on purpose, or accidentally on purpose, or it was legitimately something.
Accidental. With the medication, with the drinking, it can
Yeah.
go very wrong. And her heart a little bit.
She was a little depressed too.
Oh.
So we never did an autopsy. We didn't really care. And my parents were divorced when I was 2 or something.
2.
So I experienced them always separately. My father was this person who lived in a world that was a little more similar to yours. He had great love of the arts, of literature. He was basically self-taught. And it's really quite extraordinary how quickly he learned English and how quickly he learned English really well.
Really?
Really well.
Oh, good. The Jews are so talented, darling.
Hmm?
The Jewish people are so talented.
I don't know if all of them are.
No, but many of them are so talented.
Well, it's
So
interesting.
intelligent, so curious, so wanting to know.
This brother and sister team were very neurotic and stubborn too.
Was they very close?
Very close and too close and very angry with each other.
Ay,
They
ay,
would
ay.
love each
Fighting.
other all the time.
Ay, ay, ay. Love and hate.
Very too much.
Too much.
But
But they worked together their entire life.
almost. He left finally in lots of anger.
He
And
left
he left
before
her.
she died?
Before he died, he started a new business in California that
Really?
failed.
Oh my God.
Right. And I decided I was not going to carry on his battle of anger.
No. It's worthless.
Right.
Anger is bad for you.
Well, yes. He was very difficult. He was very, just like your mother, the way you described her. I don't know that he would say anything behind my back that was positive. But he never said it to me either.
No,
I
but
was-
my father is proud of his daughter. My father was very proud of us.
How old were you when they died?
Very old. They died at 100. I mean, my father was 100 and he died in 85, and my mother died before him in 82.
Where did they live?
He lived in Jerusalem and she lived in Paris. They were, you know.
They split up? Obviously.
No, not
Legally?
they never married anyone else. They just, he wanted to live in Jerusalem, she wanted to live in Paris. They were very good friends. They would,
Well, how
He-
interesting.
she would go to
So at what point in their lives?
Jerusalem and then he would come to Paris. They separated when we were in our teens. Now, they went to different countries. When I started work, when I was 16, and
What pulled him to Israel?
well, you know, he had gone there when in 1920, and we all went there.
Oh, your mother too.
Yes, we all. My mother learned Hebrew.
Oh,
She was very pro-Jewish, my mother, because she said,
what year are we talking now? 20s?
well, no, when she fell in love with him, she fell in love partly because he was Jewish, and she She was a liberal, and she said the way they treat Jews is terrible, and she couldn't stand the idea that the Russian people were so awful with the pogroms and everything.
What year were you born? 1990 this year. 90 years back.
Yeah, in late 18. He died in 85. He was 100, so he was born in 85.
And you?
In 1885 he was born.
And you?
And I was born in 16, during the war, 1916. My sisters were born in 12, and then the other one 15, and I in 16.
My mother was born in 17.
In 17, so she was a year younger than I. I love the odor of the muguet, and I love the fact that it's not attainable unless you have it on your property, or unless you go and pick it somewhere where it's growing. You can't buy it in the flowers because they fade immediately. You can't sell something that this is only 3 days old.
Right, it goes brown very quickly.
No, yes, and then the odor goes away. But yesterday I was going all over and bringing each one a little bouquet.
That's very sweet.
No, they love. You see, I only give it to those who adore muguet, and it's a fetish to love muguet because
you think so?
Well, because you don't see it around. You don't see it in the flowers. You don't see. If you are in France, then you celebrate the 1st of May with the muguet and all that. Here.
Mm-hmm. So the people who like it, are they Americans or the Europeans?
They are Americans who travel. There are some Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
But they especially love the muguet, especially the dance critic of the New York Times, Anna Kisselgoff. She lived in France a lot. Her parents her mother was Russian, and
what's special about it is also it's not a very showy flower. What you have here is not at all the way it looks like in the garden.
But it smells.
It's hidden among its tall leaves.
I know.
The leaves are more prominent than the flower.
I know.
It's like suddenly you see the flower and say, "Oh my goodness, there's the."
It's protected from the sun because it can't take the sun.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's why it's inside, and then the little hat, and then the rain. They love rain, but they don't want it on top of them.
But how are the seeds?
That's my theory. I don't know.
How are the seeds passed? How are the bees and stuff propagate this? Because it's so hard to get into.
It propagates underground.
On the ground.
Underground. The roots propagate.
Roots. Oh, it's not from up here.
Because if you plant five, I started with 5 or 10, and now I have a field of them.
Oh.
And they propagate from underground. The roots just keep going and making more and going and making more.
So
not from the flower. From the flower, I'm sure it also comes from the flower because it has to originally come from the flower. But when I brought it from the country, it's a wild flower. And when I brought it from upstate New York, I brought a dozen lily of the valley, and I have a bigger than this room. I have. It's spread, but
is it on flat land?
Yes, on 20 years, it's spread all over. And I don't plant anything else. I have it in boxes. My flowers are in boxes, so it's very welcome. And it's those beautiful green leaves.
Very green.
And it's beautiful to see the green leaves even without the flowers.
That's right.
I can't have grass that I have to mow.
No, that's terrible.
I'm on top of a sand dune. The sand dune is like that, and I'm on top. But it's a sand dune, it's a flat.
Do you have neighbors?
But they're not. Yes, we have many neighbors. But we are not far from each other, but we're not right next. There is space because the lots are 100 wide by 70 deep, and I've got 2 of them. But they're different proportions. And each lot is worth $250,000 now,
Without construction.
without the houses to be torn away because it's a 100-year-old little cabin. I mean, this was built by squatters. The main house, the little house was also a cabin that was to store wood on somebody else's land. But the main house that was on the squatter's house is the big house. It was just one room and kitchen and bathroom. I don't know what, I think they didn't have a bathroom, they went outside in the sand. They were squatters in spring and fall. So they did their business on the dunes.
Right.
But people who bought the house, they put it on top of the dune.
Oh, yeah.
They built the house.
What was the name of this artist?
That was Schatz, Bezalel Schatz.
That's who we're talking about. Oh!
No, wait a
Yes,
second.
yes.
That is my first love.
Well, that's what I wanted. I didn't know that it was the same person. I wanted to ask you about Bezalel Schatz. He was the son of Boris.
Yes.
And
his
this is
sculptures
all
were
of,
sold everywhere.
and all of this is down in Jerusalem.
Yes.
This happened.
And the museum, they started the Bezalel Museum. Loved it. I was crazy about it.
Was he an artist at the time?
Yes, he was an artist and a violinist.
So what happened after you left him?
He married a Californian. First, he married a Jewish girl in Cincinnati, but it didn't work at all
How did he get to Cincinnati?
because he was there to sell his father's barrelier. Boris was a
Yes, I know.
barrelier.
Right.
And the reason I left him is because his mother was in love with him, and and she hated him.
And how about his sister?
Well, his sister's still doing, I don't know if she's still alive because I was in Israel 10 years ago. But 10 years ago she was doing her own thing. She never married.
What was her name?
And she lived with a widow of Lily. Oh yes, then he went to California and he was married this Californian artist, and then he brought her to Jerusalem. And she didn't like it, but she loved him, so she stayed.
And the mother liked her.
I don't know about the mother.
What was the sister's name?
It was much later, you see. He married her because he married the Cincinnati girl, and then he went to California. And then he lived in California for many years, and then they went to Jerusalem.
What was the sister's name?
Zahara.
My daughter Zoe was at Bezalel Academy. She was a student there. And I think they all a class went to visit Zahara, and they did portraits of her.
Yes.
And she did hers as a mobile in metal wire.
Oh.
And she showed it to me in a picture, because I wasn't living with her at the time. And it was wonderful. I keep asking her, I say, I want that sculpture, where is it?
No.
So that...
Zahara was very,
difficult?
very talented, very nice. I got on very well with her. But it's the mother. So the mother was very bad to her, because she loved Lilik. And he was the only thing she cared for. And she hated me. I couldn't stand it.
So you split up.
So after 4 years, I felt, I don't know how to explain, but I loved him very much. And I went, when I was 50, I went to Israel at that time, and I called him. We had breakfast together, and it was lovely to see him. You know, I never stopped loving him, but I just couldn't stand the idea of, I couldn't take that.
The family dynamics.
I couldn't take his mother. His father was dead, but he died early. And then we went with Lilik for a year to Jerusalem in 1936 after Florence. I stayed till the end of 37, and then I came here. So I stayed in the big, beautiful house that they had in Jerusalem, not far from Bezalel. it belonged to the family. I don't know. Zahara didn't live in the house, so they must have sold it. She lived with the widow in maybe the apartment, I don't know, a new apartment to get away
So
from
I'm confused. Your whole family went in 1920?
No, my father went in 1920. We came in 20. I was 6 years old when I went. I was 5 years old when I went to Vienna for a year. We were in Italy first, 2 years. We left Geneva. I was 3. We went to San Remo, where we stayed for 2 years. So then I was 5. Then we all went to Vienna, where my father's family was.
Oh.
We stayed there until father arranged to make us a home in Tel Aviv.
Mm-hmm.
Then we all went to Tel Aviv when I was 6 years old.
And you lived in Tel Aviv. Do you remember the street?
Yes, in the very center. I can't remember the word now. But, it was all sand.
And then your mother went to Paris.
And then my mother decided that I should be a ballerina. So we all went on the boat to Paris. My father, my mother, and I. They dropped me with
What
a
about
Russian...
the 2 girls?
No,
the sisters.
Mira stayed in Palestine with the family. And Deborah was in a convent at that time, I think, a school, in a religious school, because it was very inexpensive. And my parents went to America, so they dropped me in Paris, and they went to concertized in America. He came and...
How old were you?
Well, I was 11, and they dropped me in
With
Paris
who?
with a Russian family.
Oi.
They paid money to, and they were mean to me too.
Oh, that's terrible.
They inscribed me in the lycée and in the dance school of Preobrazhenska with all the baby ballerinas. That's when I went with all of them. No, it was, 11, it's very, very... I was, in Israel, I was taking care of the house and everything. We were all 3. Deborah was too busy with her friends and her studies. But Mira and I took care of the whole house, even when we were little children.
Your mother's the one who sounds like the artist.
Yeah, but she was the one that took care of the opera and did this and that. She did choreography for the opera. And we were at home, going to school, and then when we came home from school, we took care of the household.
And does Mira have children?
Yes, Mira has 2 successful sons, very successful electronic engineers.
And she has grandchildren?
Marvelous grandchildren who had extraordinary children too, all educated and clever. Scientists, all of them scientists.
And Dvorah never married?
Oh, Deborah, yes, she married an Englishman and she became English there.
Did she have children
he was
too?
a pathologist. She had 2 children, one died, but her son, Sebastian, became a very famous theoretical physicist. And now he works
Wow.
with medicine in Stanford University.
Oh, you have a nephew in the States.
Yes, he's in California.
You have a relationship to him?
Oh yes, I love him very much, but he doesn't. He's a scientist. He doesn't bother with anything but his work and his children and his wife. He has another wife now because Sarah left him. She couldn't stand the wife of what is it called? The wife of
Academic wife?
academic wife. She couldn't bear. She was a pianist herself.
Well, I can understand it. It's a very
hard.
specific thing.
Very hard. It's all right. You see, the husband is so intense with his work.
That was my first husband.
He was a scientist.
He's an academic.
Academic.
That's all he really loved. That's it.
But what was his specialty?
Medieval English literature.
Medieval English literature.
It's like being a scientist. Or a Talmudist. or anything that is really intense.
Yeah, they only can do that. And
That's it.
That's it. So it's very hard on the wife.
Or the children.
And not the children.
They're very with this. Whereas artists tend to be very focused also, but they're sort of like wild, you know. They do other things.
Well, they're not. They don't follow rules.
Right.
They follow their own needs and their own. They don't do anything against the law, but they follow their own rules of behavior, not the way this one does or that one. They have their own scale.
So then, as a second husband, when did that happen?
Well, I finally went to analysis when I could not bear my first husband anymore because he was so possessive and jealous.
Oh no, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The first one. I think of this as the first one. No, okay. The first husband. How did you meet?
He was a musician, a flute player. He
Where'd you
played
meet
very
him?
well. He was in Radio City Orchestra, and I was on the stage.
What were you doing on the stage?
I was
Dancing?
dancing in Radio City Music Hall. They had a ballet company.
Right.
Then from there I went to the Russian Ballet. From Radio City, I went to an audition and I was hired right away.
For the Russian ballet?
Yes. So I went, so then I joined them for about a year. And then they went to South America, and by then I was involved with Victor, and he didn't want me to go to South America. As a matter of fact, before I left the ballet, he came to Canada with a horse and wagon and a bouquet of flowers, and he said, "We're getting married." And I said, no, I don't want to get married. And he said, "Yes, we're getting married, and we're going to the justice of the peace, I got here, I got the papers.
And you got married?
Yeah, and I
And you didn't really want to?
No. You see, I didn't want to get married. I was so afraid. And my instincts were good.
How old were you then?
23. So then I went back after the wedding and did my evening performance. And then I can't remember, he left, I guess, and I finished the Canadian tour and then came to New York. And that was the last thing, because we went all over the United States and then Canada on the way home.
This is the Russian ballet.
Yeah, the Basile, the old-fashioned company, because Diaghilev had one company which divided into the Monte Carlo, the young people.
Oh, I don't know.
Balanchine. Well, Balanchine was the young one, and he wanted to do his own thing. He was a choreographer, born choreographer, and so the young people decided to split with the old-fashioned people that I was with, the Basile. We did the old works, and we did full-length works and things like that. And we traveled, all over. We had we had our own train.
Wow.
And we lived on the train, went to another town, rehearsed, lesson.
Well, he didn't like you going off and being so independent. That's why he wanted to marry you.
Yes, probably. But then when we married, then of course he didn't want me to go to South America. He thought it's too dangerous to go to South America because he was so possessive. That's why.
I was in South America. You could have come and seen me.
You were there?
What year was it?
Oh, it was 1941.
No, I wasn't there yet. I wasn't even born yet.
No, you weren't.
But in 1955, I was there. For 5 years, we lived in Argentina.
With your first husband?
No, I was the age of 3 to 8.
Oh, 3 to 8. You were in where? In Buenos Aires?
In Buenos Aires. My mother's husband, the first and third, he was a foreign correspondent for the New York Times.
I see.
And this was during the revolution against Peron.
Oh.
But you were in 41. That's an interesting time, too.
But I didn't go.
They didn't go.
They went.
They went. And you went back to what? Radio City?
No, I went back to being a wife.
And doing nothing?
Well, I taught.
Oh, okay. I can't see
and
you
then
doing
I got
nothing.
pregnant. No,
Oh.
no. I always worked. I always earned a living, always. Never stopped until 3 years ago when I lost my studio.
Oh.
Yes, and I can't, I don't think I can start again. There's nowhere where to, we had a dressing room. I don't have a dressing room here. So where are they going to dress? I can't teach. I don't want to teach anymore. I want to die, you see, so I don't want to teach.
You want to die? You got an appointment?
No, but I hope to die soon, but I don't know how.
You hope to die soon, but you don't know what?
But I'm healthy, reasonably healthy.
And your parents
Unless
lived...
maybe I have the cancer.
I don't think you die from... Oh, you're hoping to have a
No,
cancer?
but maybe I have the same thing my sister has. How do I know? I don't know. It started on Thursday, but I did have a very unpleasant sensation since she worked on me. That was 2 weeks.
I think that's the reason.
But why did it happen just 2 weeks later?
Well,
3 weeks later.
I had this work done maybe a month ago, and it's still not quite resolved. He kept fiddling with... I grind my teeth sometimes at night, so I have a thing that I put in, but not all the time. He says 5 days off, 2 days on. Like
only 2 days on.
He says if you have it on all the time, your mouth does not know where to find its natural home. So you have to, and the 2 days on is to break any habits. So he put me through a lot of different things with this, and then he decided that my teeth were not meeting in the right way. Well, you know, when you live your life, you're not sitting and unless something is really wrong. You
don't know it.
You don't know it, right? So you have a pimple here. You know it's a pimple because there's a bump. But most of the time you're not looking at your face. Do I have a pimple this week? Right. So when he started bringing this to my attention, I started feeling how it sits. And I realized that he made a change for me. So my whole head had to adjust to it. He made it so that this was not the first place that meets. So now, in principle, I should meet together.
But he improved your bite, didn't he?
Presumably. But meanwhile, it's not quite settled. So for instance, sometimes at night, in the morning, I wake up and my mouth is sore. So I know that I've been doing something weird with my teeth at night. When that happens, I put the thing in for 2 nights. In other words, I don't think that 2 weeks is so unnatural.
I see.
I'm encouraging you to think of the more likely probability rather than the unlikely probability. I think the probability of it being tongue cancer is less than it being some after effect of the work she did.
Probably, but at the same time, you have to die from something.
You do. But you know...
I don't want to get decrepit.
Well, you are the least decrepit person I know.
I know, but the point is that I'm deteriorating terribly inside of me. Changing apart, very difficult.
I think that's an outrageous thing that they did to you. It is, I see maybe at 70. But at your age, that was a really unusual and cruel thing to do.
I know. He didn't want to let me stay there because he wanted the space for 3, and he made such an ugly thing out of it.
Well, yes, because you were a thorn in his side.
Yes, I was in the middle of the floor.
So he would have probably hoped that you would die before he had to put you back into the building.
He probably hoped I would die soon, but
Do you have a will?
Oh yes, but I have to make another one. I have a very ordinary will, and I have to make another one because...
May I suggest
Yes,
a few things? Because I've been through different people's deaths. If this is something you think about, I have no problem talking about it.
No.
And one is that you give away things before your death. You do it now. It'll help you to clear out stuff. I watched my aunt keep every single tchotchke.
Oh no, I'm getting rid of everything.
So you should start getting rid of things.
Oh, I'm
very
getting-
casually.
Listen, I already got rid of a lot of things, but not my precious things.
Well, you have to also...
No, because I will, my will... that
Don't
I'm-
put all the precious things in your will, because each person then, it gets all valuated. Make a separate list that you give to the people who are important, the same list to everybody. Say, this is how I want it dispersed. I want
Yes,
the,
not
I
part
want
of-
the milking cow to be given to
No.
Martha. I
Yeah,
want
I
the
don't-
painting to be given
Yes,
to
I
Joe.
don't put it in the main thing is only the money. The money.
Yes, don't make it part of the will.
No.
At all.
And so the things are a separate letter that I give to a trusting person.
Well,
One
you-
of my friends.
Well, you should give it to more than one person. Because my aunt did that.
With
and
a
she
copy.
Gave, and
With
she
a
gave it to
copy.
her sons, and she would talk to me about it all the time. And I didn't really want to discuss this with her. And then when she died, the sons said that the letter disappeared. Now, either she was not very organized, or they made it disappear.
So they could keep everything.
So whatever, I don't care, it doesn't matter. It made it unpleasant. So,
Okay, as I'm going through the steps, I'm going to do it this summer. I'm going to work on the will, how I'm going to do everything, and especially Fire Island. You see, when Fire Island is sold,
well, that'll be your children.
no, because I don't want my son to get all the money. I want to share it with my friends.
Then you have to sell it before. Do you see the problem? Who you have to give it to somebody. You give your who's the executor? Your son?
No, he doesn't. I don't know. I haven't.
You have to have an executor.
I wrote a will without my last will. Is just my will.
No, you have to have an executor.
You have to have an executor to your will.
Somebody who's in charge of making the thing happen. Could be your lawyer. They'll take money from you, from your estate to pay themselves. It could be your son. It's work
You
to
have
do.
to have an executor.
Yes, somebody has to make it happen. It's a legal document that has to do with law,
Yeah.
and it gets listed. I don't know the right words for probate or something. Wills get probated.
But a will doesn't need to be probated. If it's a will, it's not. If there is no will, you go through probation. But if you have a will, you don't.
So maybe I'm
probate.
using the wrong words. But for instance, an old friend of my father's had a will that was extremely detailed, and I was in it, which was a surprise. He left me $5,000, and he had no children, but he left $5,000 to Joe Schmo, $2,500 to Israel Bonds, $1,500 to, and he listed everything out. So each of these people now has to be found. Somebody is doing this. Somebody is locating each of these organizations or people and distributing
But don't
them.
you give, as you say, I'm leaving $5,000 to that, and you give the address and everything.
Yeah, but you could write the will in 1990 and not die until 15 years later.
No,
And that person may not be in that same place. So they have to...
That's why you rewrite your will with the latest address all the time.
Okay. So but
It's very
a
complicated,
letter
I
goes
know.
out. I received a letter when my aunt died, and when my father died. I knew what was happening with Ken's aunt and uncle because we were taking care of them. But the lawyer sends out a letter in the case of the aunt and uncle. They have a door.
Yeah, I've
You
got
have to
that.
do it this
Yeah,
year.
because the will that I have is just an ordinary will.
Well, if it's an ordinary will, then your two children will receive the money equally.
Yes, and that wouldn't be right. I have to have a trust fund for Stephen, and I have to.
I think you have to do this immediately.
I will do it immediately. I mean, this business with the
Yes,
apartment.
right.
it
So
threw
then
me
you have to
off.
think, okay, does Bob want my tchotchkes? Is Bob, so wait a second, you married Bob's father, you had two children, and then you left him?
Yes,
How many years were you married?
10 years.
That's not much. 10 years. And then, Bob went to live with his father
But
and
they
the
both
wife.
they both went to live with
And then soon after you married David.
No, then I married my second husband.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, my
Who's
second
that?
husband. I had 3 husbands.
Oh, okay.
I'm not counting my
Right.
lover.
I have 3 husbands.
Yeah.
So who's your second one?
He was Bill Levinson, a writer, a very lovely person. I loved him very much, but he was totally irresponsible, giving the rent money away to a stranger because she needed it.
Uh-huh.
And that scared me. Although his parents were rich, but they were very, very careful with money. And I knew that the rent would be paid. The parents would.
How long were you married to him?
I was married to him not very long.
3 years.
No, more than that, because he had 2 children, I had 2 children, and but I fell in love with David in 1957, and I fell in love with David, and we married in 54.
So presumably you were
54.
divorced from Levinson.
So I was married to Levinson when I fell in love with David. But for 4 years we wouldn't tell anyone because we didn't want to spoil anything for anyone. We thought it was a temporary thing. And then anyway, then it happened that we started that I left Bill Levinson.
So do you have a good relationship with Bob?
Well, yes, I have a good relationship, but he turned Republican and he's a reactionary. I mean, and he's religious and terribly religious, and I can't stand it. And
He's Catholic?
No, he's
Protestant?
Protestant.
Is his father still around?
No, gone.
Is Levinson still around?
He's maybe around, but I haven't heard that he wasn't around. But he's older than I, so he must be 95.
Well, you should look around your life and say, what would Bob want?
But the things that I want to live, like for instance, the paintings, such and such a painting, but how do I describe them? And because a few people said, would you give me that painting? So, I have to describe the painting.
You take a picture.
And I take the picture of it and then I put it on.
Or you also put something on the back. You put a sticker on the back. This is from Martha.
That's better even, a sticker in the back of the painting. That's a very good idea, because it's simple, it simplifies.
Well, it's okay if the person who's going through your house is somebody who will care to fulfill your wish.
Yes, well, if.
Well, the other opportunity is you give things away earlier.
Well, if I should find that I have a terminal or anything, I immediately will give everything away.
Well, yes, but you might also just die one morning and not wake up.
Yes.
That could happen, next week.
No, I'm planning to do it very, very soon. It's just that I couldn't cope with everything at once, and I should have done it already 2 years ago. 3 years ago when I was in the apartment, but I was teaching.
Okay, so you'll do it now.
I'll do it now because it's on.
Is there somebody
But
who lives here who is helpful to you?
My friend said if you don't need to go to a lawyer, you have to have a very. But the things will be separate, like you said. All the things.
You don't need to go to a lawyer. If you go get yourself you go to a stationery store.
Yeah,
you do that.
yeah.
Because
the lawyer will help me to do it because he's a friend, but he will help me.
Right. Oh, so you have a friend who's a lawyer.
But he's not. But I'm not hiring him.
I understand, but somebody who can watch over that.
He will direct me to go to.
Because the only time when you have a problem is if, for instance, the person who you assign to somebody has to do it. You see, you're not here to distribute the stuff. Okay?
I know.
Someone has to. This carpet you want to leave to Joe Schmo. Mm-hmm. Who's going to call up Joe Schmo and say, Joe, come and get this carpet? You know, suppose you write down, I'd like you to have, and you have to write to somebody. Who are you writing to? Dear Bob, when I should die, please invite this list of people. Here's something I'd like you to do for me. There should be some place, in a very obvious place, a list that you've compiled of the people who need to be called. Right?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
That's a good idea, right?
Very good.
They're the people I'd like you to call, or send an announcement to, or call that come to my funeral. Do you know if you're having a funeral?
No, of course not. I'm giving my body to medicine, and there'll be nothing
So
left.
I'd like you to have a party
Nothing.
for my friends. This is the list of people I'd like
No,
to.
I don't
Okay,
want
whatever. You know, I'm trying to give you the idea.
Yes, but I think it's a very good idea to make a separate list of the things that
Yeah, but
have nothing to do with the...
it all has to do
only
with
money
trust.
will be distributed in the will.
My husband and I both are on a committee.
But I have to have an
at
executor.
the synagogue, and usually it's the son if you can trust him. We're on both of us on a committee that's called the Chevra Kadisha. It's called the Holy Society. Why is it so holy? Because you're doing something for somebody who will never know that it was done for them. We wash the bodies in preparation for burial, and it's all built on trust. You know when
Yes, I can understand that.
right.
I don't
So
want to have anything like that.
okay. So
I
the
just want
point
to
is
disappear and give my body to medicine.
Okay.
And I have the card, and I haven't done anything about arranging it, but I have the card and what
so
I have to do.
you should mention this in the will as well. My body will be.
Yes.
So who's doing it? Who's calling up? You see, that's what the executor does.
I have to. Yes, I have to.
And
No,
you-
but in my papers will be written. My body goes to. It's a Mount Sinai somewhere.
Right,
But
okay.
anyway, it's a medical school, and they use my body, and then
I understand.
and they get rid of it.
That's wonderful.
Because I don't want anyone to take care of anything. I don't want a funeral. I don't
So somebody has to call up and say,
Yes.
Mrs. Maia Helles is deceased. Please come and get her. But somebody has to do
Yes,
that.
I know,
right?
but I
Right.
would do it with the building, you see. I would do it with, because this is my last residence, and they would take care of it. You know, they would.
I don't know how that works. You can't just.
No, I leave the number,
Yeah,
the
but-
phone number.
But Bob
Of-
comes
of-
and says, "Where's my mother?"
No, no, no.
And the super says, "Well, I sent her to the."
No, but Bob will know everything when I do
Okay.
everything. He'll know everything that I gave my body. Well, I haven't done it yet,
Right.
but he'll know that I gave my body to medicine, and that's where it goes, and make sure that they come and get me and so on. Yes, of course. I mean, I'm planning to do everything,
I
but
think
I
that-
better
I think these
hurry
are-
up.
Wait, yes. I mean, you know,
I'm
I
tired.
I tell people, young people who are in their 20s, I said, you know,
They can die in a car
I
accident.
said, I hate to sound like an old lady, I say to them, but everything is possible when you're 25 and 35. Everything's possible.
I made my will when I was in my 20s.
I have a will also from way back. Everything is possible in life. I can do a million things. And you don't think about dying. But there comes a time
You have to prepare
that
for it.
that you're not even preparing. Suddenly you realize, boy, a little ache, a little problem, a
but
friend
I
dies,
had my
your
will, but
parents,
it's not a
your
good one.
parents die. You know, suddenly you realize, oh my goodness, I'm not here forever. And you can see at the end of the hall the exit sign. You're not close to it yet, but it's there.
I am close to it.
No, I'm not talking to you. I mean, one is.
Yeah,
I'm not.
one is, no.
But it's there. I said, on the other hand, you could walk out in the street and the car can hit you, and that's the end of it.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, we are not, terrorism, anything can happen.
stupider things than
A
that.
hurricane.
You could catch an infection and then be gone.
Exactly.
We have a friend from our synagogue. His wife was 63. She was a doctor, and she was looking very poorly in the last year or so, getting extremely skinny. And I said to the husband, I said, can I be helpful to you somehow? Ethel looks really not well. You don't know what to say. You know, you want to say, Ethel looks like shit. What happened? But you say, she doesn't look well. And, I said this to him 2 weekends in a row, and he says, well, it's a long story. She has anorexia. I said, oh my goodness. This is a doctor, 63-year-old woman who has anorexia. And you know what? She died. And she didn't die of anorexia per se. That's not what people are talking about. She died of an infection, sepsis. Well, it's very easy to get an infection when your body is so undermined. So you don't die.
Her immune system is gone.
Gone. So you don't die from HIV. You're dying from pneumonia or something, right? You
Right.
see. So people don't want to say the truth because it's so bizarre. But
People are afraid to talk about things like that.
I'm not.
No, I'm not.
My mother was not either. I like the way. Yeah, I'll tell you what she did.
Well,
When she died, all her papers were in order. There's a big envelope for each of us with papers and stuff with our names on it. The bills were all paid. Very orderly.
wonderful.
She had shown me, modeled a very interesting procedure. Maybe this is useful for you. When her father had died and her mother was now in a nursing home, out of it, and she had to close down the house. So she sent a postcard, a letter, to her 3 children and the 5 children of her brother, who was deceased, her brother's deceased. So all the direct descendants. She said, I'm closing down my mother's house. Here's a postcard. Send it back to me. Put on here 3 things that you remember right away that you would like saved for you. And then meet me on such and such a date at the house. Not everyone could come, but everyone assigned a proxy. So there were 9 people. My mother, her 3 children, 2 of us were there, 1 was not, and some of the 5 other children. And we went around. So we each got the 3 things on our postcards. We had not picked the same things, completely different things.
That was lucky.
It was interesting. And then we went around, starting with the eldest of each group. We would just pick a thing in the room, in the house. So I was going off to live in Israel, so I took no furniture. I took my grandmother's gold watch, which was a pocket watch which had been made when it became the fashion to put the watch on the wrist, there was a device that was made out of gros grain. And her sewing kit that was filled with interesting tools and linens and things like my sister was taking the desk. And we just went around. No one judged anything. No one said, because everybody got to pick the first thing that they wanted. And they could have free range in the house. And we just...
But only 3 things each.
No.
No.
First the 3 things on the
first
paper.
The 3 on the paper.
And then going around the house, each one, in turn.
Take what you like.
Take what you like. And that's how we dispersed the house. So people got what they wanted without discussing with my grandmother, gee, Grandma, when you die, would you leave me such and such? Which is, a little hard to do.
But it's necessary, because we all are going to go.
Yeah, but no, it's necessary to disperse the stuff.
Yes.
But it's very hard to be the recipient and say, oh, Mom, when you're dead, I'd like this. That's very awkward. Because it makes you look mercenary.
But you don't say that. You don't say when you're dead. You say, well, someday, when I inherit, I would like to have this. And you don't say you're dead.
Okay. At David's work, does this go to some museum?
Well, I'll ask his son if he wants it.
Oh, his son?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He has 2 sons, and I will ask him if he wants. When I do it, I will ask him, because on the separate list it will be things, and the will, because the money has to be taken care of with an executor.
Right, but you have a very beautiful wardrobe here. You have
Yes, but that all has to be given.
I'll tell you what. If you were to consider me,
Yes.
I would like a portrait of you. It doesn't matter to me which one.
Oh, sweetheart. Of course I'll let you have a portrait.
You'll do it or
I've got
you
so
won't.
many.
I'm expressing my desire to keep you with me forever.
Oh, darling, and that's the way I felt about you all the time. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes, it is wonderful. I was telling my brother and sister-in-law where I was going. And they said, what a nice story.
Yeah.
I said, well, yeah.
Yeah, it is a nice story.
Yes, it is a
Because
nice-
we had a very special entente.
And I don't know why. Can you remember why?
You were just very kind to me, and I was kind to you. I mean, it was really just amitié. It was amitié, affection.
How did it happen?
I don't know. Maybe because à cause du français. Qui sait?
No,
comment?
we were in the lycée. Everybody spoke French.
Yes, but you're Russian also, and you're Jewish also, and you know all the
But I didn't
things.
really know about Jewish then.
Yes, but I knew that you were related to Pauline Trégère, so I knew that you were partly Jewish. I mean, you know, I'm partly Jewish too. And I chose.
You see, I just don't remember myself at
No,
that age,
I
so I don't
know.
know why,
I know you were,
how
yeah.
it happened that
I know.
you invited us to,
Because-
me and another girl, I can't remember who it was, I didn't come
I
alone,
can't remember
to
who.
your apartment.
Because I wanted you to come to my house. I just wanted.
I
felt
think
very
it's
close.
unusual.
But it's not unusual when a teacher feels very close to a student. You were grown up, you know. You were not a 6-year-old. And I still have a friend, my Jennifer. She was my pupil when she was 7, and we are still on marvelous terms now. But there are not many. It's just you and Jenny. That's all. Because Jenny was so unusual, and we had such a rapport. She was 7, and she was not at the lycée. She was a private student. They wanted a class, and they were in that class. They hired me to teach that class of children at 300 Central Park South, which is that beautiful tower building. They had a whole tower, 4 exposures, and each apartment was a floor through in
Wow.
the tower. But they were very rich.
Very rich.
Yes, they were very rich. And I mean, Jennifer's parents, father was very rich. From a